Recently, my co-host Alfredo said he wanted to introduce me to someone, so he invited us to a call.
Can you just introduce yourself and your title?
Serious title or just my fun titles?
Both.
Okay.
That's Alfredo's friend, Basil Camus.
I'm one of the owners of Leaf and Limb, and my title, I call myself the Wizard of Things because, when you're an entrepreneur, you're doing everything.
When Basil heard about our podcast, he wondered if we could brainstorm some fresh marketing ideas for Leaf and Limb. But Alfredo gave us a heads up.
Leaf and Limb is doing a lot right, so it's a little harder to feel like an expert. That's why the pressure's on with this one.
I was a little nervous, but mostly just excited for this episode of Shoestring. It's the show where we come up with creative solutions for small businesses with big ambitions and tight budgets. I'm Danny Henyon. Leaf and Limb started as a typical tree service company. Like you have a tree in your backyard, it's looking a little rough, and you call a company to come chop it down. That was Leaf and Limb.
I wanted to scale it. I wanted to make lots of money, be the biggest in North Carolina, maybe the Southeast.
But over time, Basil's perspective shifted. His hands-on work with trees and soil opened his eyes to something bigger.
Really what changed that was working firsthand with trees and soil, learning how incredible these ecosystems are, then realizing that trees and soil could play a role in helping heal Earth.
This realization led to a complete overhaul of Leaf and Limb's business model. They transformed from a company that primarily cut trees down to one that focuses on preserving and promoting tree health. It's a noble mission, but it comes with its own set of challenges.
I'd say just the biggest thing standing in our way on everything that we do is just a fundamental lack of knowledge about why any of these things matter.
This is the heart of Basil's problem. To grow a business centered on healing the earth, he first needs to educate people on why trees matter and what they can do to help.
When people get it, they understand how trees relate to the well-being of the planet, which means now helping the planet. When they get these things, people are often very excited to try and adopt these practices. I think it's just a lack of knowledge that stands in the way.
So far, Leaf and Limb has mainly relied on email newsletters to spread their mission. And let me tell you, these are not your average promotional emails. Each one is packed with in-depth information about local weather patterns, soil conditions, along with practical tree maintenance tips. The best part about Basil's approach is that he doesn't even include a sales pitch. In fact, he has a strict rule against it.
Education only. We are strict about that newsletter list. No selling. So we only teach. And by staying true to that, we find that we've built a very high degree of trust. And then what ends up happening is every time a newsletter comes out, we will get requests from proposals, not often related to the topic.
So in a sense, it keeps Leaf and Limb at the front of people's minds when they have tree problems. And then it's up to the sales team to turn appointments into sales. But now Basil's looking for new ways to spread Leaf and Limb's message. So he started tossing around some ideas. First up is Alfredo. He suggested turning the newsletter content into social content.
I think if you treated social, like if you thought about it like a mini newsletter, it doesn't necessarily need to be that like traditional social media style. It can be someone like talking to the camera about one of these topics.
But Basil wasn't sold on the idea of social media. Actually, he was completely against it.
Social media and Leaf and Limb just don't get along. My social media account, the only reason it's active now is because Morgan, my wife, insists on at least keeping it alive for me.
And you know what? If you feel the same as Basil about social media or any marketing channel, that's okay. If it doesn't feel authentic to your brand, it's all right to skip it. But that doesn't mean Basil's sworn off all social platforms.
I think Nextdoor is probably the last fairly unbiased platform where people can talk about a business, and we rule the tree service sector on there. Because the majority of where our calls come from is word of mouth.
As we dug deeper into Leaf and Limb's challenges, we hit on a big one.
Doing good tree care is a really slow process because trees grow and adapt very slowly. It's like grass, you get to see right away what happened. It responds very quickly. Trees could take a decade to respond to good care.
That's when an idea came to me. What if we could show people the value of Leaf and Limb's services while educating them?
I was just thinking for me, I've got this house and there's trees and there's grass and I've wanted to replace our grass with native plants and things like that. But I'm like, how healthy are my plants right now? How healthy is my yard right now? And so like if there's a way to do that in a quiz or something online, and then that could be a way to generate leads.
That's a really interesting idea. And it could be tied to the book because the book sets standards. So it might be like there's like a certification sort of hardwired into that learning journey.
The book Basil is referring to is one he actually wrote. It's called From Wasteland to Wonder, and he offers the digital version for free on his website. He wrote it to share easy ways that people can help heal Earth in suburban and urban landscapes. So this quiz could bring the book's principles to life in people's own backyards. As we brainstormed, the idea evolved. Alfredo thought back to a marketing tactic from his previous company.
Do you do lawn signs?
We don't. So the version of the sign that says like, this company is working here, I find to be very tacky, so I refuse to do them. But something along the lines of what we're discussing, a certified property or trees that are being cared in a certain way or promoting an important message, I'd be all for it.
I think you should really consider it. At Buddha Bee, I also cringed about the signs to the point where I'd install a hive and I felt embarrassed asking, do you want a sign? And surprisingly, I'd find people would come to me afterward and say, hey, why didn't I get a sign? Why didn't you offer me one? Lawn signs were our number one channel. People would constantly reach out because they saw a sign.
That's really cool. I like this idea. And then we could say, if you reach X score, and we will mail you or bring you this sign.
And it could be the thing that keeps people engaged with Leaf and Limb's mission long after they've taken the quiz. For the quiz itself,
I'm imagining I would go to the book, I'd extract what I think are the important points, figure out how to make those simple questions that anybody can answer.
Alfredo suggested using a survey tool that he uses called Typeform, which could provide a more personal experience based on users' responses. And to reach new people interested in helping the environment, not just the people who are already reading his newsletter, Basil could ask local sustainability organizations to share the quiz with their audiences too. We'll be checking back with Basil and the Leaf and Limb team to see how their backyard health quiz develops.
Thanks, y'all. This is great.
If you're a small business owner looking for some marketing inspiration, text us at 954-419-3657. We read every single text that comes through, and if we think we can help, you could be featured on an upcoming episode. And if you liked this episode, it would mean so much to me and the rest of the team if you shared it with a fellow business owner or marketer. Shoestring is a podcast by Sinch, the customer communications cloud. We create products that make it easy for businesses of any size to reach their customers by text, email, phone call, or pretty much any other channel you can think of. Shoestring is written and edited by Alfredo Salkeld and me, Danny Henyon. Thanks for listening.